Welcome everyone to our August coffee chat. I am Laura Knutson-Murray. I am the GIS coordinator and community outreach assistant for IrisBG. And with us today is Shanna Jones. She's our social media and community outreach assistant. We want everyone to know that you can subscribe to our coffee chat channel. And the way you do that is going to the link that Shannon will pop in the chat, and you can follow anytime we post articles and videos in our knowledge library. These coffee chats are for you. The idea behind these sessions is that we at IrisBG would offer a space where you can connect with your peers and have a chat about issues that may arise with your work in your collection. We don't have a fixed format, so please get in touch with us if there's a challenge you'd like to present to the community or a topic that we should talk on. It can be anything, big or small. Hopefully today we will make a few new connections, and together we would become a little bit wiser. Here is a map of, at least as of last week, who had registered for the coffee chat. Fun to see institutions from all over coming to learn more and become a little bit wiser. So our agenda today, first I'll cover a few terms that I think are helpful with mapping terminology, since our topic is on ArcGIS and mapping. And then we'll move on to our main presentation, Improved Record Keeping with IrisBG, given by Greg Payton, the Director of Living Collections at the Dawes Arboretum. He's been at the Arboretum since 1996. He even developed and coded his own in-house plant records software package until he discovered IrisBG and adopted it in 2013. So he's definitely an expert, and look forward to learning from him. He became in charge of plant records and then director in 2020. It'd be great to ask him questions. He's available at the end. Poll question that we usually do at the beginning: what is your experience level with IrisBG? Are you still trying out the trial, novice, intermediate, or advanced? Looks like about half of us are intermediate, 10% advanced, 24% novice, and 10% trying out the trial. And then I had one more question. Since this is a map-heavy topic that we're covering today, I just want to know where everyone is with their mapping experience. Do you use maps when managing your plant records? First answer is no. We only use the locations required for the initial setup of IrisBG. Yes, we currently use the mapping module within IrisBG. Yes, we are using the mapping module along with ArcGIS, or yes, we use a free service like Google Maps, Google Earth, that kind of thing. It's just good for me to know how many more tutorials I need to create. Always happy to do those. And there are other resources out there for the people in the US, and I don't know that it's exclusive for people in the US, but we have a plant map group that is working on developing resources as well. Jenna Portano is on that as well, so we can add resources when I write up this article if you would like to join that group and learn more about GIS. All right, so it looks like about half of you use the mapping module within IrisBG, and 35% of you use something like ArcGIS, and 15% use something like a free service, Google Apps, and 12% just use the required locations. Okay, thank you. So I'll move into just a few terms that I'd like to cover. I recently wrote an article in our knowledge library called "The Earth is Not Flat," and why that affects the accuracy of your coordinates in IrisBG. If you've ever removed the peel of an orange and tried to flatten it, you'll notice that the surface of the orange becomes distorted and it tears when you try to make it flat. This distortion affects area, shape, distances, angles. What you're doing is creating a projection. A projection is a method when you're trying to portray part of the Earth as a flat surface, and this can be a paper map or even a computer screen. I think when we're looking at a screen, we forget that that is also flat. So there's an article that I wrote that you can get more in depth, but I'll just go over a few terms from that article that are helpful when you're thinking about IrisBG. So the base map that you use in IrisBG is made with a map projection. They represent a two-dimensional part of the globe in the two-dimensional way. And a commonly used projection is WGS 84, the pseudo-Mercator projection. This projection distorts the poles greatly. It makes Greenland look larger than South America, but in reality, it's more like the image on the right, where Greenland fits nicely inside of South America. So just know that, especially when you're on different parts of the globe, it makes more of an effect than others. So another term is datum. The Earth is also not a perfect sphere. It's a geoid. And a geodetic datum is the mathematical, like abstract coordinate system used to represent the Earth's surface and provide known locations for surveys and maps. So it's a simplification, and it doesn't fit everywhere on the Earth because the Earth is not a perfect sphere. So there are many different datum. And in IrisBG, we have several that you are allowed to choose. And this is something that's set up at the beginning before you put any coordinates in. And once it's set, you can't change it. So if you do change it, things will get very chaotic. So please don't change it. But if you are just starting or looking at getting started in IrisBG, it's good to know that you can choose a different datum that's specific to your part of the world. And this is where you find that in IrisBG. Look under the management menu, collections, and the map screens. It tells you the datum and the coordinate format. And even if you're going to use azimuth and distance, we have a couple gardens that do that. So if you are just starting out with creating a base map or thinking about creating a base map, the best place to start is a GIS specialist in your local municipality, actually. These professionals use specific datum and projections for your region, and they oftentimes are the best resource for finding free data, whether it's topography, imagery, or other local data sets. They are oftentimes, the imagery is taken regularly, and they're able to provide it or willing to provide it to gardens for free. So ask around, get to know a local GIS professional in your community, and it can help you find more data. And one last thing, how you are collecting your coordinates matter. Coordinate accuracy. So with a smartphone being commonly used, we're all getting used to following that little blue dot that is us while we're walking around on a Google map. But not all methods for collecting those coordinates are the same. I borrowed some imagery from the University of Cambridge to demonstrate this point. If you are just visually placing a point on a map and using an image service like Google or Bing or Esri, this position will be accurate to about 1 to 2 meters. And once that base map is updated, you may see a shift because they're adding more tiles, and just the projection that they're using is that global view. You can improve this by hosting your own map, and then you decide when the base map changes. So that shift, you'll know if that shift is going to happen. And one way to guard against that is to place survey markers or buildings in your data and your base map to realign it if needed. So that's if you're using just a visual method. If you're using just the GPS in your phone, it's actually worse because it's just referencing one satellite typically, and it's accurate to about 5 meters. And that's under an open sky scenario. If you are under a tree or next to a building or near a bridge, it can be even worse. It could be hundreds of meters or 25 meters. So the best practice is to invest in a global navigational satellite system, GNSS receiver, and pair that with your mobile device. Here you can get centimeter level accuracy if you invest that far, but then you can see how that smallest blue circle, your dot will be within that area. So there are many ways to collect coordinates, but they are not all equal. This is my point. And it is best to have one method so that you're consistent with the accuracy. All right. If there are any questions with that, please email me or see the article. I know that's fairly technical mapping jargon, but it's just good to know as we're all exploring using GIS. All right, Greg, I will give the reins over to you.
Well, thank you, Laura. That was very informative. I always learn more when I listen to even stuff that I've heard in the past. So it's always good to hear things again, fresh information. Again, I'm Greg Payton. Like I said, like Laura said, I've been here at Dawes since 1996. So going on my 28th year here soon. So I've seen things come and go. We started with GPS, GIS technology back in 1999. So we've used it through the origin of Esri's products. ArcMap was the product back in the day when it was like 256 colors. Looked like it was a product of Windows 3.1. So mapped a lot of things in the past. That's where we had many of our buildings and roads and things mapped. And This technology that we're going to talk about today is a great way of updating some of these old features, and we're still in the process of remapping things that may have been, I'll say, poorly mapped, but using the quality of the technology of the day. Now we consider it poorly mapped if it's 3-4 feet off from where it should be technically. So let me start by sharing my screen here, and I have a few pictures I can show you. What we have to work with here is, as Laura said, a GNSS GPS satellite receiver. GNSS, as she said, global navigation, which means many of the larger countries of the world have their own GPS satellite network in orbit. So the U.S. has the GPS satellites that are U.S. based. China has their own satellite system. Russia has their own satellite system. The Europeans have their own satellite system. So what this unit does is it picks up everybody's satellites. You only really need about 2 to 3 satellites to get a signal, even though Laura said you pick up one on your phone. It's basically doing math. It's, triangulating every time. What the GPS satellites do is basically send a timestamp with what time it is. And the software then picks up the distance it takes from all those times to reach where you are to do a mathematical conversion as to where you are on the planet based on that time discrepancy. So the more satellites you have, the more math is being done, the more accurate you can get to where you're actually standing on the planet. And the altitude is less accurate than the horizontal accuracy typically, but altitude isn't really telling you where the planet is as much as horizontally anyway. So we have this unit mounted on a pole. I just leaned it up against a tree that I'm going to use here as an example. You can see at the top the GPS unit, GNSS Trimble model, and the pole is set to 2 meters in height. That is because the software then knows that the GPS unit is 2 meters above the ground. So it's going to increase the accuracy of the altitude, knowing you're that far off the ground. But the main reason is it gets the antenna, which is on the very top of that unit, over your head, because your own body can act as a shield to hide the satellites, to hide the sky. The more sky you have, the more satellites you pick up, the greater accuracy you have. We have the capability of reaching 7-centimeter accuracy. So, Laura was talking about 7 centimeters or centimeter level accuracy. 7 is pretty good. If you can't find a tree within 4 inches, then it's likely not there. How we do this, our state, the state of Ohio, where we are, our Department of Transportation has a free service that is used primarily by the transportation crews to have on-the-fly online, data correction stream. So it provides this RTK, real-time correction stream. So normally we would have about 1.5 meters accuracy without any real-time correction, which is still pretty good, but it's better if you're mapping a power line or a gas line or something to know exactly where it is rather than just hopefully you're close. So we're quite happy with that accuracy. It's a free account. We just sign up, Google your state and see if there's any, if your Department of Transportation does something similar. But that tree that I showed you back here at the beginning, when I put the pole directly vertically next to the trunk in the tree, I could see that the green dot is where the tree was on our map, and the crosshair is where it physically is, down to 7 centimeters of accuracy. And you can hit the blue button, start averaging. And this is just a brief overview of how I operate it. Then I'll go into more of the detail here in a minute. But it'll recorrect that position to where the center of the crosshair is and correct that accuracy. It looks like it's only about 1 foot or 1.5 feet off, so not too far. Some are much more off. You can also add, and I'll show you how this is done, you can add polygons and other features to the map. So I'm in this office, the brown building right here, right now, and this is the parking lot in front of me. And the red outline is a polygon I made of one of our parking areas, and you can see it was slightly off from where it where it should be according to the map. The other lines are additional lines I made to capture the edge of the parking area where the grass and the parking area meet. And then I can go back into the GIS and correct those. That's the end of that. So let me show you now ArcGIS and the project we have. When you want to begin this process, Laura and team at IrisBG had created a fantastic document on how to go through and set up your system, all the step-by-step overview, first do this, then do that, settings in here. So it's a very thorough tutorial. You create your project and use the toolbox features that come with the project to build your system. It's best, like she said, talking about projections, if you have your own base map to work with, but you can conceivably just use a general world, topographic or, visual view like a Google Maps satellite view as a backdrop. ArcGIS has their own version of that. So once you have your project created, you see here, this is our own base map. As you zoom out, you see the extent that we have it set to, some of our surrounding roads. We have nearly 2,000 acres. So all this land here is quite a bit of land to cover. Our main block of grounds here is about 500 acres. And then you see our roadways and buildings and trails and features come in, planting beds. This has our grid lines on it for locating plants within the different garden areas, like our visitor center or witch hazel collection, Azalea Glen Japanese garden, features like that. As you zoom in, you'll be able to see the plants actually come in. And the way that I've done this is these are benches. The plants begin to come in, and you can click on one of these to actually see what the plant is. So it's a Parkway Norway maple, and you see all the data that comes with it. Its label types. If it had been GPS recently, these fields would be filled out with the accuracy of your unit that then can be transferred into your records with the new coordinates as they are updated. When I created the project, you come with an item layer and a new ACK item layer. We primarily, the item layer is all of your existing points that are already in your collection. So all of the trees you have mapped that already have coordinates, all the perennials that are located within a bed, that bed has its own coordinate system or its own coordinate set. So it locates those within those features. New ACK item is used in the field if, say, you're out in the field and you had 5 new trees come in of one accession, and 3 of them were planted and updated and already existing in your items layer, but you found the other 2 had been added to a different garden area. You can go in and add those 2 new accession items as a feature and locate them accordingly. So the ability to add new material while in the field, it's not like creating a new accession, but you already have an accession and you're just making new items from that accession. But you associate it with the existing accession and add more items to that. It comes with a reference shape already involved. It comes with a polygon layer. I went ahead doing what I do and adding to things. I created a lines and a points layer to be associated with that as well. So as I said before, when I'm doing a road edge or a trail or something like that, I can add a line feature so that I don't have to have a start and an end like a circle or square or something. I can just have a straight line with a beginning and an end. And a points layer, when I'm locating these benches, I could put my GPS unit right in the center of the bench and mark a point, and then use those coordinates to update the records with where the bench is located. So those are nice features to have in addition to the polygon, although I do use the polygon the most. I've went ahead and, okay, so when you have your new project set up, you publish your accession items and your new accession items layers to your cloud database. If I go back here, I'll just go, I didn't have this open previously, but I'm going to open our online GIS layer, or ArcGIS Online. So here you see we have the IrisBG Sync web map. So I can go into that and open in Map Viewer, for example. So this project started off on my computer, but now this is published online. So this is the online version that is then uploaded, or that's then populated with all the plants using some toolbox features that I'll talk about here briefly. I know this is a lot very quickly, so I'm going to have some questions, I'm sure, but I'm just trying to get the main features in while I can. So then when you're in your project, I've loaded the online data within my project so I can see all the plants. So I don't use these fields as much. These were just the starting point for creating the project, but I do use the online plants that I've mapped, new items, polygons. So for example, I was out last week and mapping new plants in this area, and I realized this bed was totally out of shape. So what I can do is my GIS background that I use on this is actually editable. So I can go in and I can say, let me just bring this down for a second because my share screen is hiding the surface. I can hit edit. I can say select. I want to select this planting bed. It's going to say, which layer do you want? I want the bed. And then I can edit vertices. So now I can take, I'm not going to do the whole thing. I'll do this later, but I can then take these edges of this shape and make them match the actual layer or the actual polygon that I walked out in the field. And we'll just do that much for now. I'll fix the rest of it later. And then save that feature. And then the bed is actually updated with how the feature looks in the field. And when I'm done with this polygon here itself, I can click delete to remove it from my map. It was only there temporarily to show me the shape of the bed as it truly exists. And that's useful for, as you see, we have so many beds with plants in them that they quickly become out of shape as beds are joined or beds are removed, and they get mulched and get bigger, or as you know. So
Greg, I want to jump in real quick. It is also possible to make the base map editable, so you don't have to do it twice. So you could walk and have the polygon change shape while you're out there.
True,
so,
true. But I prefer.
You probably have your reasons for doing it this way. I just wanted to let it know. You don't have
to. So the base map that you use on the tablet, and I'm going to show you the tablet now too, because this is pretty cool. This is the tablet we use, and as Laura said, we have all the settings set the same on all the tablets. So when we have different people using different tablets doing the same sort of mapping, they're all using the same coordinates, the same correction streams, the same formats. So everything matches up one-to-one. We've used a competing software package in the past for mapping, but I find that the view and the quality you get from there's the same bed we were at. So this is how I created things in the field, and I'm just going to show you here a brief demo. Say I was out in the field and I wanted to add a new planting bed. It just jumped back to my current location because it knows that I'm in this building. I'm just going to go here, and I'm going to create a new planting bed right here around a couple of these plants. So I'm going to go down, say polygon, and jump back again. Likes to move on you when you're not it to jump to where you are. So I can create you can either stream it when you're out in the field. You can start streaming down here, and it's jumping me back to here, so I'm not going to save that. But very difficult to do something off location.
Make a polygon in the building around where you're sitting. That might help.
I could walk a circle right where I'm at. But let's just make a real quick and dirty bed right here. Okay, it's 4 points. Looks terrible, but I'm going to save that feature. And now I'm going to switch back to here. And as soon as it has a chance to upload the data, the bed should show up right here. Let me just refresh. Since I'm working with the cloud system, when I add it on the tablet, it will show up on the same layer here. Supposedly. Take a second here for it to appear, but it does appear. So it will show that little 4-point bed that I made right here. and then I could go through and actually add the feature manually and draw the new bed in afterwards. Is that...
You may have to refresh from the catalog or restart the project for it to load in.
Yeah, sometimes if you hit the little refresh button down here, sometimes it refreshes, but...
We'll see it in ArcGIS Online, though, if you want to toggle over to that.
Yeah, there it is. Now it finally appeared, proving I'm not crazy. And since this was just a temporary feature that I don't need, I'm going to go ahead and delete it just to show you how you can delete that feature. Here, highlight it. It's the only one selected, so delete, and it's gone. And then when you go back to your tablet, it'll actually disappear from here too. So you're working on the same map, just on different platforms. This will disappear from here at some point when it refreshes as well. Again, sometimes it takes a minute, but we'll let this sit in the background and I'll show you when it actually disappears. But you're working on the same map. You're just going back and forth through the cloud to see the same features. Any other questions or thoughts, Laura or Shanna, that you think I should cover again?
If you would like to, if you could switch back to the tablet view, could just show some of the drop-down menus that are available for editing your accessions. I think that's helpful for seeing how Field Maps works.
Yeah, let me go back to here. So as you were saying, when you are out mapping, you can the easiest way to edit existing plants is to just basically click on one of the dots that already exists. So if I click on this feature right here, so if I click on one of these plant icons here, it pops up with the name of the plant, and you can use this for mapping plants. As I said, that's the most useful portion of it right now for us, but it's also fantastic just for inventorying or updating label status of plants. So you can have a drop down of all your users and select your name from a list, and the way and the different updates as to what's up with the plant. You can basically say today, okay, it changes the date to today. You can add notes to that particular item. You can update your label types. And then when you save that record, I'm going to not save it because I don't want to save that feature because this is live. So I'm discarding that feature. But when you then do an update later, which that was the next point that I want to show you, is how you get the data back out using the toolboxes. So you've mapped, you've updated, you want to create a new accession item, as I said before. You can go down here to new items and create a new record. And we'll say that plant is right here. And I have it set to Warren if I'm doing a manual point rather than a quality collection. But you put in the taxon name of the plant. So it has all the taxonomic names. We'll say it's an AB silicica. We'll say it was, and this is, you would select the accession number that you want, the provenance, the number of specimens, the condition, the status date. Right now it's set to the default, but if you just say today, and then you would save that, and you have a new accession item added. And then when you're done out in the field with your day's work, you go back in and under catalog, this is the smarts behind the whole project, is this toolbox that allows you to import your data in from IrisBG into your project, which brings in all your points, and then all of the edits that you've made in the field for the day, you can then export back to a file, and I'll show you how that works. I've already have a file in IrisBG here that I've, so you go under data import, I'll just clear that real quick, but you go to open file, and it creates a CSV file of all the changes you've made after running that script. And this will churn for a second and make some buzzing sounds, but it'll then bring in all the data that you've changed.
Greg, there's also another way to find it under job status. It loads it automatically, so you don't have to search through all the folders, and it will show you that it's ready, and you'll select the name. So 2 ways to do it.
Okay, I haven't seen that one yet. Is that under the utilities then, or what?
It's the yellow boxes where it says job status. There's a drop down.
Okay, gotcha. Right here.
So the grayed out circle, ready, and then it will show you the files that are ready to be imported.
Let me just try that. And then search. Yeah. Okay.
There. And it will give you the date of the ones that are ready.
Right. So you can sort them by date, find the one that you want to enter. And then it'll, then once you accept the changes, all the edits you made in the field, like the label status, the coordinates of where the plant was mapped, all that stuff will be added to the records. Of course, it doesn't bring in the polygons or anything like that because IrisBG just deals with point data. But when you're using a GIS and have that information on your background, then that shows up as your beds that the plants are in. So there you go, and you would click accept and bring in all those data. I've already accepted this, so I'm not going to do it again. But this is just an example of one that I did last. But then you can see each item. It shows you its coordinates and label status and all this sort of features that you've updated in the field. And then if you're running the same thing, if you're back in the project and you've created, you have new items you've added, when you export attachments, it's also going to have a folder for new items. So those points 4 and 5 or D and E that you just found out in the field that you added on as new accession items, it'll bring those in as well, just by selecting that file. One more thing that I can add, if you don't mind, is that ESRI, Environmental Systems Research Institute, that creates IrisBG, or not IrisBG, listen to me, ArcGIS, has a deal for public gardens. Anybody that is APGA members, you're allowed to have a greatly discounted full advanced ArcGIS Pro account and software for basically $100 per year per user. So it's a really good price. So I would recommend people take advantage of that, start building your own basemap, because it's so much easier than using Google Maps and trying to look through trees that are in the photos.
Great, thank you. Yes, it does take a little while to verify your nonprofit status, or you belong to a educational institution. I think it's like 2 months. I don't know why it takes that long, but just know that it's a great resource. It's definitely worth investing in. Greg, thank you so much. It was a fantastic presentation. Thank you for showing us what you're doing and what you can do with basemaps. Thanks, everyone. And we'll see you next month. I think the topic is what's new in IrisBG. We've changed a few things with the updates, so we'll just be covering all that's new. Great. Thanks, everyone. We'll see you next time.